Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Game 3, the ace match of this TVT before Axiom and, well, I shouldn't say Axiom, teams aren't involved, it's the players that are involved, RYUNG and Flash. This is Rifkin, I'm casting with Doom, and this is, of course, Base Trade TV, but more importantly, this is DreamHack Bucharest.
Yeah.
And Doom, you know what, I want to introduce him one time in this
Yes.
series, so I am so
I'll
sorry
take the
for
lead
stealing
here.
it. Okay.
I will take the lead here, Rifkin. Spawning in the lower right-hand corner of the map. From the Team Axiom, sponsored by PlanetSide 2, Husky StarCraft, Total Biscuit, and SC2Links.com, the Red Terran player, none other than RYUNG.
And is one of the top left corner of the map, recently starting streaming, perhaps setting a record for StarCraft streams in a long time. It is none other than the man, the god himself, Flash. Now, a small nerd part of me really wishes he was red, so he could be like the comic book Flash. I'm not gonna lie. But I'll take him in any way, shape, or form that we can get him, because, of course, it's such a rare occurrence that smaller North American casters like ourselves would have the opportunity to cast such great players, even if it's just a best of 3, that doesn't count for anything other than WCS points.
That's the beauty of DreamHack. It brings people together to watch StarCraft, and it gives lowly guys like us an opportunity to cast really amazing, amazing games that are perhaps, you could say it's above our pay grade, but I felt so comfortable today casting these games, Rifkin. It's been a distinct pleasure to do so.
Yeah, I'm still flabbergasted at the fact that we got to cast Flash. I was a little upset that we almost missed him in the last round. I thought, oh gosh, we're not going to get to see him at all, but man, I'm just so glad we managed to catch the tail end of this series, regardless of what the stakes are.
Yeah, and you know, I'm going to add a couple of these builds to my ladder repertoire. I'm going to start owning some nerds out there, and it's going to be all good. I encourage you guys to try to emulate these two as best you can. You know, people can say that doing pros builds is tough and difficult, but if you write it down, if you study it, you practice it enough, you can be just as Gosu against, you know, those gold leaguers, platinum leaguers, diamond leaguers, and even the masters that you're playing against.
Well, I want to point out RYUNG is getting a pretty quick factory out here, while Flash has not made any tech choice just yet. Looking like he wants to go for a bit of an expand, maybe? No, okay, there we go, the reactor now coming down. Wasn't sure if he was banking the gas or banking the minerals, but it looks like it was the gas.
Curious to see if he'll throw down another bunker to try to deflect any type of incoming scouting initiatives, but it does look like he's going to try to drop down the command center. There we go.
Now, the nice thing about having the reactor out is, while you don't need to pump out Hellions, you don't necessarily need to pump out Reapers, pumping out Marines en masse is actually pretty good. It's weird to consider, but since they nerfed Hellbats, just massing Marines can be really good if you get desperate. But of course, we see the factory come down traditionally and safely for Flash.
Yeah, I'm really liking the mass Hellion builds too that come out, and that's definitely a possibility for Flash moving forward. He's going to get a couple more Marines out on the field as well, and yeah, it's crazy how the Hellbats have basically become extinct in TVT.
Well,
unless you're going mech.
I think RYUNG's going to change this up. He's going to go for 4 Marines and 2 What Am I Drop. It looks to be the case. He's not going to go for Banshees this time.
Alright.
Bit of an awkward cancel on that. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. So the way this drop works is if your opponent has no natural, you can drop everything in the main and just try and do a ton of damage to your opponent's mineral line. If they do have a natural base, you drop 1 Wood of Mine in the natural, 1 in the main, and Marines wherever the hell you want. And the idea is you want to make him burn scans to pay for the damage to clear it up. And of course, you always snag like usually an SCV or 2 of the process, but Flash getting some Hellions out, if he gets on top of those Wood of Mines fast enough, he can take them out. That bonus versus light is quite effective with some small amounts of Marines.
Right. Not moving across just quite yet, but establishing that rally in the middle of the field to take some semblance of map control here. Flash seems content to just stay confined to his 2 bases. He did a little bit of early game scouting, but beyond that, he's really in the dark in terms of what RYUNG is going to be anticipating here. But it's going to be just that simple Marine Hellion composition in his main base, building 2 Hellions at a time, so adding on significantly as the game progresses.
Oh, Flash might actually he might accidentally intercept this. He's got his Marines in a really nice position. And the missile turret's going to be down at the front expecting a Banshee, but even so, the Marines are going to be in spot to pick off this medevac if it flies over them.
Alright, here we go. Ooh. Both players reacting to the posture of their opponent's army position.
Really quick reaction times on that, too.
Looking at these guys' APMs, I mean, they're playing with 206, 254 averages, buzzing around 300.
As Terran, no less.
Whoa!
Right.
Good placement for this for the turret here.
Oh, it goes off of the Viking. Nice. That is a good kill on a Motomine for sure.
Another one's maybe making its way into the natural. Missile turret is there and prepared.
This is kind of a cute spot for it. It's going to be hard to spot, actually. I can barely see it. I'm a caster.
Impossible to spot. unless you like zoom in.
But the problem is like what walks over there, right? Like
I would have potentially got that clump of Hellions or Marines, but RYUNG just going to pick up, lift off, be content with the one Viking kill that he did get. And he's following us up with Banshees back home, so it's going to be very important that that Viking died.
yeah, the Viking is a really expensive unit. Trading the Widowmine for it outright, okay, you can classify that as a bit of a win, but if he didn't rebuild the Vikings, this Banshee would have done so much more damage despite turrets being down.
Yep. Cloak is just about to finish up in about 3-second time. Should be able to get away with no problem.
Just waiting for it. He can cloak if he needs to. But meanwhile, we get that big push of Hellions. We talked about mass Hellions. Well, the siege tank is going to have it's working out for him as he does detain the Hellions, or sorry, not detain, but refrain them from coming into the base for now.
Yeah, really nothing that those Hellions can accomplish against the siege tanks in this position. I mean, maybe if they get on top of it, then they could, you know, avoid the damage, but he's going to take a couple of shots. Going to have to trade a couple of shots before actually dishing out any damage. All right, so somewhat of a more passive approach to the TVT matchup is this game. You know, neither player really making too aggressive a move, but really just stifled by their opponents in this situation.
Well, RYUNG going to keep with the Bion. Looks like Flash might actually be going mech. Now, this could still just be for Blue Flame and pairing it with something else, but usually when you go for 2 factories, you invest a little bit more into that. But without those 3rd and 4th geysers, I'm thinking that this is going to be some sort of Blue Flame with, or even, I guess, Drilling Claws maybe? I don't know. To me, Blue Flame would make the most sense.
Banshee going to escape by the skin of its teeth, only down to 4 energy, though. The Vikings are staying in hot pursuit. Can they knock him down? And boom! Right over that weird blue pylon thing.
Is it Drilling Claws or is it Blue Flame? I'm thinking Blue Flame. Come on, Blue
Drilling
Flame.
Claws.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to...
The mass Hellion style seems like a bit of a joke, but it's really effective against Bio. And while they don't have bonus damage or really much damage due to their low rate of fire, the splash damage versus Marauders actually turns out to be fairly effective. And they're quick enough that they can get on top of the tanks before that second shell goes off. So it's a little awkward to consider, but for units that just cost minerals, Hellions are quite effective.
Yeah, talk about quite effective. This Banshee in the back of the main base here for Flash in RYUNG's base is actually going to do a lot of damage, get a bunch of kills. It's got Cloak too as well, Rifkin. And no scans here available for RYUNG.
Oh gosh, this is really rough. Trying to get that turret up. Got to focus on the SV that's building it, of course.
Oh man, gonna have a scan in just a moment. Flash realizing that can't last forever. But wow, 10 kills. That Banshee is a sergeant. And getting promoted continuously from here.
Yeah, 8 workers, 4 Marines. Not too shabby. Meanwhile, on the other side, we got another Banshee coming in, and Flash gonna be just going buck wild on RYUNG's base for the time being.
This is what he's known for, that expert multitasking, and kind of an odd scan there. I don't know if that was Flash's scan or RYUNG's scan, but definitely a whiff it was from RYUNG in this situation.
Oh, Flash almost loses that Banshee, but he gets away with 20 health. Meanwhile, the one in the main still going strong. These Marines are not quite going down very fast to them, but Medevac doing a great job of healing them up, but this is, oh, it's got to be so irritating for RYUNG, not just being able to deal with that, but also letting both the Banshees get away.
Rifkin, what a very special tree. We are indeed seeing Flash go for mech in this game, adding on his first armory. His 3rd factory is about to go down, and his 3rd command center is being built as we speak.
Well, I thought it was pretty safe to assume he was going mech when we saw like 15 plus Hellions.
Hey.
22, my mistake.
It's reminiscent of him building mass vultures and setting up siege tank lines on huge Brood War maps. So this is just giving me, you know. Well,
I guess if you get some Widow Mines, it wouldn't be too different. Like mass Hellion Widow Mine, it's like your own ghetto vultures.
Maybe later in the game, but we noticed that, you know, Tasia didn't really opt for that.
Oh no, it's terrible. I was just making a joke.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, the mass Hellions actually, they will be good. Forget the Widow Mine part of that. That was, again, just me trolling Doom and not picking up on it. But look at this. The Marauders, again, they're not going to take bonus damage, but if you can get enough splash off, they'll take a lot of damage nonetheless. Tanks, though, holding pretty strong here. The Banshee's going to try to take them out. The Vikings actually can clean up the medevacs, but these Hellions on the right side never went down, and this tank will fall.
Yeah, Banshee's adding in a lot of damage to that engagement. Gonna run by with a couple of Marines here. RYUNG almost getting a Raven pick off. In fact, he's gonna persist and try to get down even more. Flash juking back though.
Oh, 8 health.
Best Raven pilot ever.
Coming in hot. But of course, that trade did not go well for RYUNG. He lost all of his Bioforce. A couple tanks did get alive with the medevacs, but realistically, he couldn't deal with that push of Hellions. How is he going to deal with it afterwards when there's tanks involved with it? Not a rhetorical question.
Then we'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's really cool is by going for these Hellions, the one thing that really sucks about mech, the immobility, the lack of reproduction. Well, when you got Hellions on the field, the immobility is not as big of a problem. And, of course, if you go for transformation servos, not a lot of players do, but if you do, suddenly you can turn them into Hellbats, carry them across the field, or sorry, turn the Hellbats into Hellions, run across the field, and turn into Hellbats in your opponent's base.
Yeah, well, Flash is just going to go straight up adding in Hellbats into his composition now, saying the time for Hellions has pretty much gone by, and we're seeing these guys pass each other like 2 ships in the night on each side of RYUNG. Do you see that massive swarm of SCVs, guys, in composition here? That's going to fall so quickly to those Blue Flame Hellions. A
lot of this is because I think he was really upset about that initial army loss. He's got to pull SCVs if he wants to break this, but again, the Blue Flame is going to chew right through this. 19 damage versus light in a line. There's a couple of Hellbats incorporated with this too. Not a lot, but a couple.
I think Flash realizes that RYUNG's basically gone all in at this point here, and as long as he gets that siege tank up on the high ground, should be okay, but it looks like RYUNG's got different plans here. Going to go for a drop in the main base, it appears.
Surprised he didn't pick up the SCVs to drop with us, but dropping right on top of the Blue Flame. Point defense drone goes down. Marauders are doing no damage while that's active. It's now out of energy, but it's a little bit too late. SCVs trying to come around the side, but the siege tanks are taking care of the Flash pulling his own SCVs. Didn't even need to use them. Good game is called, and Flash will 2-1 Axiom's RYUNG.
Yep. That was a fail boat there at the end from RYUNG, but definitely due to, not only factors of that game itself, but factors outside the game. Neither player able to advance from their group. Exhaustion could be setting in, and just disappointment perhaps too. But Flash is going to take the series in that situation. RYUNG going to go home, probably not with the results he expected, but still with the pride to know that he is one of the best TBT players in the world.
Oh, absolutely.
Despite the results today.